What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into the channel. Today we're going to be going over something that not a lot of people do really talk about, and that's the organized play of Star Wars Unlimited. I know that in some locations it's a little bit harder to get people to come in, week out. And this is just kind of going to be a video about a special type of format that we play at my local game store that might get people in the door, try to kind of spice things up. I know a lot of people might not want to go ahead and play against the most competitive things, right? I know I have a group of people who don't like playing against, let's say, Jango Fett, which is now suspended. Sabine, control, like some type of control deck, like if there's boss, right? People don't like to play against it. People don't like to play against it. But when you start to add in these fun new type of formats, it kind of opens up things to a new light, and it'll most likely get some players who want to play more on the casual side of things into the game, right? It'll get them to come into weeklies and kind of get that, bigger crowd for your weeklies, because typically, right, where I am, we get 8 to 12 players on a Sunday, and sometimes more. If everyone comes, we get 16, 18, right? We'll get everyone. But when we do these bigger fun type of events, like we did a wheel event where you spun for your leader on a wheel that were all non-meta leaders, we got a big turnout for the wheel. I think we had like 18 people, 20 people spin the wheel, and it was a lot of fun, right? For this, we're gonna be talking about a heroes and villains type of format. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We already did it. I will be showing a video at the end between two people and kind of demonstrate how the heroes and villains format works in a live feed, right? But let's go ahead and talk about the heroes and villains format and how you kind of run the event, right? If you guys are new here and you're enjoying the content, make sure you hit the sub button down below. We're going to be more consistent going further. I'm about to move into my new house in a couple of weeks. Once that happens, things are going to be more consistent. Hopefully, things will kind of slow down around me and it'll be a lot better. Plus, we're hiring more help at work, so I have more time to edit videos. So expect more content starting next month for sure. Now, let's get ahead and get into the heroes and villains format. So basically what the format is that you are making two separate decks. You're going to be making one hero deck, one villain deck. So step one, you pick your leaders, right? Let's just say we start off with Obi-Wan as our hero leader. Your villain leader cannot share an aspect with your hero leader. So obviously you're not going to have a villain leader share the hero aspect. That's fine. But Obi-Wan being vigilance leader, your leader on the other side has to be anything but vigilance. So let's go ahead. We're going to do set one Vader for this. They were friends at one point until Obi-Wan cut off all of his buddy's limbs. But let's go Darth Vader as your other leader. So you have aggression, villainy, and you have vigilance, heroism. Now you have to go ahead and choose two bases. Again, both of which cannot share an aspect with either leader. So the only bases that we do have available to us is command and cunning, right? And you cannot choose the same color base for either leader as well. So you just have to kind of pick one for each, right? So let's go ahead and let's slot Obi-Wan with cunning and Darth Vader with command. So obviously we have vigilance, command, vigilance, cunning, heroism for our hero side, and then villainy, aggression, command for the other side. So that's kind of what we're working with there. And then you got to obviously build those decks to fit whatever you want to do, right? From there, now you have to go ahead and for a best of 3 game, you have to use both decks in the best of 3. So basically, you're going to roll for initiative at this point. Whoever gets initiative can choose whether or not to start with the deck that they choose for game 1 or choose to start with the initiative. Let's just say the person wants to start with the initiative. So the other person gets to go ahead and choose their deck. If they go ahead and they choose their heroism deck, you must use your villainy deck game 1. Okay? Game 2, you're using the deck you did not use. So your heroism deck will be going up against their villainy deck in game 2. Okay? If it does happen to go to a game 3, then you have to go ahead and use we have to roll off for initiative, and whoever wins the initiative can again choose whether or not to take the initiative or pick the deck of which they choose, and the other person would get to pick if they want the initiative or not. This is the roll off on game 3 is just to guarantee that, like, it's not like, oh, I know that my game 1 matchup is like guaranteed to win or something like that, right? It's just a different way to kind of make sure that it is still random as well, right? And then basically, as you know, whoever wins the best of 3 from that point wins the match, and you go on to the next round and do the same thing over and over again. Again, this is a lot of fun. I think that it adds a new dynamic to the game because you're not stuck playing the same deck all 3 games So even if you do have a matchup you're not entirely thrilled about from your opponent, maybe the other matchup isn't something that you dislike playing against, and you go ahead and you get to game 3 and you get to go ahead and play against that deck that you prefer to play against, right? It just adds in a more open field of play, and I think it was a lot of fun, right? So if you guys are interested in this, definitely try it out your local scene. I do think that this will maybe get other people like interested in locals. Again, not every place struggles with the local scene, but as the set continues or as a set kind of gets towards the end, you see the numbers of your local scene kind of going down. Also, if there's like a meta defining deck that people just don't want to play against, you see a big dip as well. All right, and so this is what we're trying to do here, right? We're just trying to get different types of formats out there, fun formats to get the local scene kind of going and thriving in various different locations. Again, not every place is struggling, but there are a few places that I know of that are. And again, I have had friends say like, oh, what do you guys do to kind of get more people involved or get more people there, right? So this is just one of the formats that we do. I am going to go ahead and show off a match between a Rose Tico Cunning deck and Piet Red against someone who's playing a Luke ECL and a Cad Bane Tarkentown, right? So it's going to be the best of 3 for that. You're going to see all of it, including rolling for initiative and kind of how that works, and I'll explain that in the video as well. All right, we are here with the first match. Obviously, Piet Red, so he's the villainy side against the Luke ECL side, right? Camera's going wild. I think that the table's just shaking up a little bit, sadly. So I do apologize about that, and we are going to upgrade the camera soon. Once I get through the move, we're going to get an upgraded camera, all that stuff. Quality is going to be a little bit better when with our live matches, but still, nonetheless, you can pretty much tell what's going on. And again, I'll give you the rundown of what's going on as well. So just getting the resources down to start. But again, this is just more of a fun format, right? So you can go ahead and you can choose to do what you guys want to do. You want to go ahead and ban meta leaders so you can get even more wild matchups. Go ahead and do that, right? So like Luke ECL, nothing crazy, and neither is Cad Tarkentown, right? But Piet Red is pretty unique, as well as Rose Tico, right? So you see the Corona coming out from the Piet using its ability to make it cost 1 less, and now it just has a strong 3/5 unit on turn 1, right? Just gonna straight go ahead and take initiative. So that's kind of a rough start. He did have the restored arc in hand, but didn't want to play it because it was just going to go ahead and get smacked by the Corona anyway. And now at this point, he does get to get the initiative. Probably go ahead and play his Sentinel in space, or just go ahead and play the other unit. But he does go for the Sentinel in space to protect him from the Corona, right? So it's pretty good there. Now the Piet player obviously has to think, right? Is it worth it? He does go ahead and do it. He hits it down to 1 HP. He'll take 3 back. Now, the Luke player possibly next turn can go ahead and take out the Corona, right? And then use it to ramp, which is pretty good. You see the Gamorrean Guard come down, and then a Gamorrean Retainer. And you're going to go ahead and get a Sentinel on the ground because he does control another green or command unit, right? So, Sentinels on both sides for both players here. They're kind of deciding what to resource. You see the Leia go down. Doesn't have a pilot, so it makes sense. Now you see the Star Viper going into base here, which is smart. Obviously, it wasn't going to be enough to take out the Corona. And so he wasn't going to get the resource anyway. So if the Corona does choose to go ahead and swing here, he will lose the Corona. And then Josh will be able to ramp, right? The Retainer goes ahead and hits in for 3. Then you get a pass from the Luke player into a resupply from the Piet player, which will then allow him to flip out the Piet if he does choose to do so here. You see one of my favorite things. He does go ECL here to take out the Retainer, to heal 2 as well. He'll take 3 back on the Sundari Peacekeeper. I don't hate the play, mainly just because like the Retainer is gonna be a Sentinel. It's gonna kind of slow him down next turn. You're gonna probably see Piet go ahead and then swing into the Sundari Peacekeeper. It'll only take 1 back. But giving the Sundari Peacekeeper a shield to protect it is a very good play by the Luke player. Josh, good heady play there. Instead of grabbing the initiative, which he almost did there, he did decide to go ahead and protect the Sundari Peacekeeper, allowing him to keep healing potentially throughout this match, which is pretty good, right? He still has a Sentinel in space, and then you see the Piat player take the initiative. You have to think an overwhelm barrage is probably coming out here because then he could potentially take out both the units. Both just have 2 and 1 HP remaining. He has 6 as well. He can play down a big capital ship for 2 less now that Piat's out, and that's the big thing with Piat, and especially with Red. Red does allow it to play a lot of fun capital ships like the Devastator and stuff like that. Being able to play the Devastator for 6 is quite painful, right, for your opponent, because you go ahead and is this Devastator right off the bat? It is, and you're just going to see pop for 2 on the Sundari, pop for 1 on the Star Viper, and then boom, 1 into base as well. So it's just, yeah, the Consortium goes, and yeah, it's a bit rough for the Luke player here because now he's staring down a Devastator. I know the Corona's not anything like too crazy because he could end up taking it out, which he might do here, right? If it's on play, he'll take out the Corona. He'll then be able to ramp up himself, get Luke out this turn to get in some damage at least, and then also give his Aether Sprite a shield on top of that, which is pretty good right there, right? So he'll swing for 4 into the base, give the Aether Sprite a shield, and you're seeing that ability of Luke coming in clutch again. So not that I really don't think the Devastator was going to go ahead and swing into the Aether Sprite, really, mainly because like he has initiative. He can go ahead and swing in for massive damage in on base right here, right? So, which you'll probably see. Oh, planetary bombardment, and he chooses where it goes. So he's taking out that. Yeah, he's just dealing the rest onto base. So that's quite unfortunate, right? The shield doesn't matter when you have planetary bombardment and a Devastator on the board. Now you go ahead and boom, because the Aether Sprite died, the Luke comes in and -6/-6 on the Devastator, which is really good because he's able to take it out and he's not taking 9 to the dome, which is pretty nice. And now the Piat's going to go ahead and swing in the base. He is going to go ahead and swing in here, give the Luke a shield, which, you know, oh, you think it's pretty good, right? You kind of need to get the restore, right? Now, would it have been worth to probably take initiative right there? Not really swing in for the 4, right? Because he swings in with Piat. I think you have to take initiative there and then swing into Piat, take out Piat. But yeah, there's another Devastator. Goes 4 into base here. He goes ahead, gets some healing in. The Piat. He's getting hit into Piat there. So instead of going straight into base, he does go into Piat. Okay, I don't know why he took 4 damage. Or is that 6? Alright, so you have another Corona coming out. For some reason, I thought it said 4 damage on the that, but we're good. Now you see the Luke come in to clear out the Piat. Gonna go ahead and give the shield back to Luke. And you see the Fell the Dragon in hand, right, to take out the Devastator. So Piat's only gonna have the Corona on the board, but that's still a decent amount, right? Oh no, then he's also gonna take down. So that's actually pretty good, right? 4 and 4 takes out the field. He does ramp again, right? So it looks pretty good for the Luke player here, right? He's able to potentially stabilize here. He doesn't have like an insane amount of HP left. 9 is not too crazy, especially when you have big ships coming down, smacking in big damage. But you can restore 3 HP a turn, give the Luke back a shield if he wants to use it to clear out anything that goes into the ground. Although Piat does typically play into space, which is exactly what's happening here. He's going to go ahead and deal 4 damage in on the base, bring him up to 18, and now from here, right, Luke here should probably swing his unit. He has to go ahead and swing the unit into base to heal 3, right? Try to gain as much HP here before the Devastator can swing in for game, essentially. So he does end up playing the other Luke to take out his Luke, which it does count as defeated, and he takes out the Devastator, so another time taking out the Devastator. So there's only so many times you can do that. Now you have the Hera, so he has plenty of heal now on base, potentially here. And the Piet player just kind of has to figure out if he can continue to take hits, because right now he's at 19, right? He's going to take 6 from the Luke. He's going to take, I believe it's 3 from the Hera, and then 4 from the Luke. So if he doesn't have an answer right away to those, that is potentially game right there. Another planetary bombardment. Now, the Luke player does get to assign the damage here, right? Because there's no Devastator on board. So he's going to max out as much damage as possible onto his units. He goes ahead and he puts the 6, the rest of it on there, right? And because it's only 8 damage. So he's going to go ahead and swing in for 6 and heal 3 again. So he's back to 12 HP. And then, obviously, there's nothing he can do there. The Piet player is out of gas. And the Luke player takes it in game 1, right? Luke taking down Piet early on. But now we're going to have to see the other decks come in, right? So you have Rose Tico against Cad Tarkentown. So let's go ahead and get that matchup situated, and we'll be right back. All right, we have our resources down, and we're ready to go. Rose Tico with the initiative just goes ahead and grabs the initiative. No turn 1 play for Rose Tico, but Cad Bane does have the Star Hopper there for his turn 1 play, and already Cad Bane getting off to a pretty good start, considering the deck is meant to kind of keep units off the board for your opponent. And if your opponent doesn't have a turn 1 play, you can save the Tarkentown for a later time, and it can just become a big problem, because at any point, just Tarkentown going further, right? So you're just maybe down a unit a little bit later in the game, and it just feels bad. But we'll see if Rose Tico can go ahead and come back from that start, right? You see he goes in, he deals the 2 damage to draw the card, and then now that Rose Tico will be on the board, you're gonna get the 1 damage from the Cad Bane here, so go up to 3 damage. Rose Tico will go ahead and heal up the 2 damage, right? The Star Hopper is going to deal 2 damage in to base. And this is what I was talking about, right? Tarkentown still being able to finish it off because of Cad Bane's ability. So that's just now being down 2 turns, no units. It's going to be a rough hill to climb for the Rose Tico player, but we'll see how it turns out. That's why Cad Bane is so good, being able to ping those 4 HP units and Tarkentown them up, right? If you had a 5 HP unit for 3, it's a little bit better because you can kind of live that you'll have 1 HP left even after Tarkentown, so it makes them kind of think twice about using it. But still, Cad Bane, again, in a really good spot here. He's got his Sentinel to 2-4. He has a Star Hopper. It's another 2-3 in space, so he's got 4 damage presenting in space, whereas Rose Tico has no units on the board here. And just gotta kind of see what kind of happens from here, right? Because obviously, Rose Tico, playing in yellow, you have a bunch of options for the 4 drops that you can go ahead and try to play. And we'll see what they kind of go with here. You see the Ahsoka coming down, right? Ahsoka's really good. Hand hate, make sure your opponent discard a card. If they discard a unit, you get to exhaust a unit on your opponent's side. Josh elects to go ahead and take out the Waylay. He elects to keep the No Good to Me Dead in hand, I guess, in case a big threat comes out. And then he goes ahead and he gets 4 damage, right? 6 HP down to none. And then you see the Houndstooth come out. Has a really unique ability that if it attacks an exhausted unit, kind of gets shoot first, which is really strong. Obviously, it cannot be a card that comes in exhausted, so it has to be on the field for a turn prior. So you kind of have to think about when to use that attack, right? But anything that swings on your opponent's side that's been on their turn prior, he can go ahead and swing in. If it takes it out, it takes no damage. It's just really, really cool card, and it is Underworld of course, so you saw the 1 damage go into the Ahsoka. Now you see the Dawn Interceptors come in here. Again, the Houndstooth can't attack in here and live, so he has to find a way to potentially live, like with the Houndstooth. So he's gonna maybe use his other units, but first off, he goes with the Cartel Spacer. He does use Cad Bane's ability to again ping the Ahsoka, and then it also exhausts because Cartel Spacer he controls another cunning unit, right? Kind of feels like playing a Django because he got pinged and exhausted a unit. But definitely not gonna talk about Django very much for the time being because it is suspended. And let me know what you guys think about that as well. I felt like there was a potential that it didn't need to get suspended, but that's neither here nor there. I felt like if you hit a couple cards, it would have been okay. Because I felt like it was fine last set. But either way. We're back to the game here, and we see the Fireball come in. It's going to deal 3 damage to the Sentinel there. It only has 1 HP left. The Cad Bane ping is down. It is protected with the Dawn Interceptors, right? So Josh, again, has to kind of figure out what he wants to do here, whether he wants to go ahead and swing his Houndstooth and trade in with the Dawn Interceptors, or try to swing both his other units into it and not, like, lose the Houndstooth because it does present higher damage output between the other 2 units. He does elect to go to Star Viper. It does do 2 indirect on defeat. Then Ryan goes ahead and he uses Rose Tico's ability to keep the Dawn Interceptors fully healthy, now making it so he has to swing the Houndstooth into the Dawn Interceptors. And this is kind of where you can kind of see some type of clawback by Ryan, because he does have 5 resources here. So he is going to be able to flip out Rose Tico and then also heal the Dawn Interceptors once again. He's going to be able to heal the Fireball, right? So he brings out Rose Tico. Now Josh has to kind of decide, like, do I let the Fireball stay on the board, get 2 damage, or do I elect to have the Fireball swing into my Sentinel next turn? So he does elect to go with the damage. Right. Rose Tico will heal the Fireball completely. Then, obviously, the Fireball will take 1 damage after the turn. But you're starting to see some damage go up on the Cad Bane side, right? And it's not that far off in damage between bases, right? One base has 8, one has 4, but the other one's playing Tarkin Town is 5 HP lower. So they're really close in the total amount of HP left on base. All right. So now you go ahead and you see Josh should kind of think about what he wants to play here. He does elect, I think it's IG 88, and he does elect to go with IG 88 onto the Cartel Spacer. Now again, he does get the ping because it is an Underworld card, and it does get the ability because there are damage units on the board. Works really well with the Cad Bane's ability to ping something, and then also guarantees that you do get that +3 damage as well as the boost to the HP. You see the Ahsoka go away. Smart play by Ryan. So now, what I just said doesn't matter because there is no damaged units on the board. Wait. Yeah. So I think he's just kind of explaining what he did and why he did it. Oh, I guess he just goes straight for base instead. No, he's going with the Cad Bane ping. So he is... Okay, so he goes in with the Rose Tico. He's just going to waylay the Cartel Spacer back to hand, so it doesn't really matter. But now you have the No Good to Be Dead on the Rose Tico. And you're probably going to go ahead and see a swing into the Sentinel to get rid of the Sentinel. Cad Bane is able to flip on this turn as well. So the Fireball will get knocked out last turn. So sorry about the mix-up earlier before. You see the Cad Bane coming out here. The Ahsoka can still go ahead and get damage in on base, which is probably what you're going to see here. Bring it up to 7 damage. And you're going to see another Cartel Spacer come out. It's going to go ahead and deal 2 damage here because Cad Bane's on the board. You're going to see the Fireball getting the damage because it is going to be taken out at the end anyway, because it does take the 1 damage a turn. So it didn't matter too much there. Now you see the Sabine's Masterpiece here. And Sabine's Masterpiece, especially with yellow units on the board, is actually really strong. Also does do some restore with blue units on the board, so it's a very strong card here. Now the Cad Bane player does elect to go ahead and just daring raid the Ahsoka here. You're gonna see the that's still exhausted, right? The Rose Tico's still exhausted. The Sabine's Masterpiece is going to go ahead and swing in. He's going to heal because there is a Vigilance unit. And he's going to choose to, I guess, exhaust. Oh, no, there's no unit anymore. You see another Daring Raid come out here. You see 7 for the Luke. Neg 6, neg 6. Not going to get any damage from the Cad Bane here, but it only has 2 HP currently for the turn. Now, there is something to say about how the last turn transpired, right? The Fireball should have had 1 damage on it. So when it swung into the Sentinel, I believe that it should have went down. And you guys can go back and watch and let me know if I'm correct on this. So then the 2 damage probably would have went onto Rose Tico. I'm not sure if that would have mattered too much, because Rotico would just have 3 damage here, and it's not like he used the Fireball to swing into anything. But maybe it might have changed an action or 2 if he wants to go ahead and take out the Rose Tico with the 2 damage on it, something like that. But still, again, I don't think anything was super impacted by that. And maybe I missed the heal, and that might have been it, right? But now, with Rose Tico having the Luke out, I mean, Luke is just a really good card, obviously. And I think that's a no good to me dead in hand. He has to no good to me dead the Luke. There's no reason not to. You don't want that swinging in for 6 and then healing 3, because again, you're in a really bad spot. You're in the high end of blue, and yes, you do have you can have a Cad Bane unit and stuff like that, but you're not in green, which typically is the better high end for Cad Bane players. So I do think that obviously we see his hand as well. He has a Lurking Tie and a No Good to Be Dead, so he can play both those cards this turn. But I think making sure the Luke can't swing and heal is probably the play here. All right, so now you have the No Good to Me Dead. As expected, you can't let the Luke swing in for 6. It would put you at 13 and he would heal. The Village Protectors, though, that kind of sucks, right? You get the Shielded Sentinel, and the only thing he has currently, he could Bazine from the resource. He also could have Hotshot Blaster if he wants to go ahead and do that just for the hell of it, but he does go Bazine from the resource here. He does get to take a look at his opponent's hand. There's nothing too crazy. Honestly, maybe I get rid of the Waylay or the Fel the Dragon, actually. Both are really bad, but he does get rid of the Waylay. Now, it does allow him to keep the Fel the Dragon for it, and then if he plays the Cad, it goes ahead and it takes out the Cad. So maybe you get rid of the Fel the Dragon, so at least if it gets Waylaid back to hand, it doesn't matter too much, because you can just go ahead and play it again next turn, and the thing that you take does get exhausted. So he has a double Sentinel here, and with one with a shield and one that gets healed when Rose Tico swings, this is now a problem for the Cad Bane player, right? Josh is going to have to kind of figure it out. He does go ahead and he swings 4 into the vehicle, so he's going to go ahead and he's going to swing and heal 2 right there, and now we're just in a bad spot for the Cad Bane player. And it was looking so good early on, right? Obviously, the Rose Tico player not having a turn 1 play, getting set back with the Tarkin Town as well, kind of found a chance to stabilize with really just Luke being able to swing or just come in and take out a unit, really. Luke, again, being a threat, having your opponent have to use resources to kind of slow it down as well is pretty good. It's just, again, Luke unit super strong. And it is kind of funny. If Rose Tico does win here, both players who didn't play a card turn 1 will be the winners in this matchup so far. So pretty unique situation when not playing kind of control, right? Like usually villainy control, villainy blue will just pass and just play Power of the Dark Side or Merciless Contest, but that's not what we saw here. So it's been kind of interesting. All right, you see the Cad Bane able to take out the Sentinel there, but you still have the Village Protectors, which is, again, a pain in the butt. You have the shielded unit. He does go ahead and trade. He takes out the Cad Bane. Cad Bane just got taken off the board. He's just like, you're grounded. We don't need you right now. But yeah, gives up the shield to go ahead and take out the Cad Bane. He knows that he's not going to die to the Zine anyway, because it only deals 1 damage. So why not trade there, right? You have all of the resources available for the Rose Tico player. You see the Lurking TIE Phantom right now. It's not much. And then you see the Radiant 7, which again, if there's any damage on a unit, it gets minus that much attack. So if he does choose to go ahead, and he puts the damage on Bazine's. Bazine's now swinging for 0. Not that it really matters too much. So he does 1 damage to... He has to kind of think about this, right? Because he just does it to the base, yeah. Because he can't allow the Lurking TIE Phantom to do 0 damage, right? So the Radiant 7 coming in here, being a pain, but also putting that damage in on the base allows it... It's at 14 right now. If it swings at Luke, he does waylay the Luke. Which is interesting, because now you just play Luke, take out the Lurking TIE Phantom. I guess he puts Page Tico down too. That's pretty good too. Takes the initiative. He's going to go ahead and swing him for 4, bring him to 18. It's just not a good... Yeah, I think that this is pretty much the end there. The Radiant 7 will go ahead and swing in for game. There's nothing he can do unless he had the waylay. He probably should have saved the waylay. But even if he did, the Luke would have swung in and still won the game. It's just, there was nothing he really could have done. So now, there's going to be another roll-off here. And depending on who wins the initiative, or who wins the roll-off, they get to choose whether or not to play the deck. They're going to use a chance cube here, right? They can choose what deck to play or choose to get the initiative, which I think, again, in a format like this, right, the Cad Bane player lost here, he probably would have just been, oh, let me go ahead and choose Luke. So he is going to go ahead. I don't know who called what, to be honest. But we'll see how it goes here. It's looking like the Piet deck versus the Luke deck is what's being played here. And Josh takes the initiative, which is surprising. Like, I was kind of expecting Rose Tico if they did get to choose, right? If Ryan got to choose the deck, I probably would have thought that he would choose Rose Tico because it did do pretty well into the Cad Bane matchup. But he elects to go back with Piet, and this is going to be a rematch, right? So Piet did lose to Luke in game 1, able to kind of handle those Devastators that came back to back, right? Devastator into Luke, then to another Devastator into another double Luke, right? You get rid of the one Luke, deal -6 to it, and that was very heads up play by Josh. And we'll see if the same outcome comes out here, right? Again, like, this is what you... And then, again, you can sideboard in this format, obviously, if you have the sideboard. But it's unique, right? Again, I would have probably expected another Rose Tico into Cad Tarkin Town, but maybe Ryan does like his matchup Piet into Luke a little bit better, which is kind of unfortunate how it kind of turned out last game, because he didn't really have anything to play later on. He does go into the sideboard as well. I don't know what he does choose to sideboard in, but we are going to go ahead and cut here to get to the point where they put the resources down, so I'll be right back. All right, we're back. The resources are down. Oh, so Piet does have the initiative, and Josh chose Luke. Makes a lot more sense now. So you see the Luke unit coming down, and then Piet not playing anything. Rough start for Piet, probably. We'll see how this one kind of turns out. You see the Luke come down. Luke, one of Josh's favorite play is to play Luke down and then get an upgrade on him pretty early. getting a shield with Luke's lightsaber on turn 2 is quite strong on there. But again, you don't see the Luke's lightsaber in hand, right? So it's not what's going to happen here. And we see the super laser tech. So you're going to see some ramping by the Piat player rather than seeing the resupply. You see the super laser tech, which is actually pretty solid here because of the fact that super laser tech has 2 damage, can take out the Luke. So next turn you are going to expect to see a trade there. He does choose to play the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing for 3 instead of 2. Fixes it, gives it a shield. Makes sense, right? Super laser tech hyperspace foil. You can kind of see the foiling here. All right. So getting into here, you're going to obviously expect a trade in. Getting right to 5 resources comes in ready. That's what makes Super Laser Technician so strong. And being able to take out the Luke. So he's only going to be taking the 3 from the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing, potentially. So that's pretty strong right there. Again, just trying to figure out what to resource. He's got his resources down. Easy first play here. Trade. Boom. 5 resources. Piat is now active and live. If he wants to go ahead and play out a big capital ship for 2 less, so you can play technically a 7 cost capital ship here for 1 less, which is pretty good, right? Okay, you see the Ruthless Raider. Ruthless Raider comes in. He does get it for 1 less. He deals 2 damage to base, pings the shield off. Pretty good right there. And now you kind of have to see what Josh's response is. And he does go with the Concord Dawn Interceptors here. And it makes sense, right? Protect your base. Again, you're playing Turkentown. He does also get a shield, which is probably quite annoying for the Piat player, but it doesn't really matter too much if he does go ahead, flips the Piat, and then drops down the Devastator, right? Like, that could be the choice here. It would make sense if that's why. He probably doesn't really care too much about the shield. He elects to go ahead and drop down Obi-Wan into his resources there, which again might not matter too much, right? You see the Piat flip here. You have to assume the Devastator is coming out here. ECL still is active, so even if he does go ahead and drops down the Devastator, he can Aether Sprite into the Devastator and take it out with ECL. So that's not too bad. He does go with the 1 damage to base, putting him at 7. And yep, the Devastator. I mean, we all know how strong that card is. He's going to go ahead and deal the 4 damage. He does 2 damage. And 2 damage to take out the Phoenix Squadron. Okay. Josh still does have his resources up and able to take out the Devastator so he doesn't take that massive hit next turn. He is going to ECL here, yep. And he's going to deal the 2 damage. I don't know what he's hitting first here, right? So he's dealing the 2 damage to the Ruthless Raider. And he goes ahead and he deals the extra 2 damage and the swing in to take out the Devastator, right? So that's pretty good there. He has damage on the Ruthless Raider while his Sentinel has the shield. He's just kind of explaining what happened there. And you have Piat still out. Piat's not swinging at all. Piat's kind of a pacifist, right? He's not out here smacking bases. He's having his big capital ships doing it for him, right? So the Sentinel's still available here. You probably see another Devastator. I think Josh has to work on cutting deaths. It is absurd how this is going to happen every time. He can just go ahead and drop down another Dawn Interceptor here for a Sentinel in space, which might not be a bad play. Yeah. Just, again, protect himself. He can bring out Luke, swing, give it a shield after taking that 4. Well, if he does go ahead and swing the 4, it doesn't really matter. It brings the Ruthless Raider down to 1 HP. Now you have 2 damage coming in from Piat. He elects not to drop Flip Luke. I don't know. I think he's more on tilt more than anything because the Devastator coming in, it's just, I think that he's just kind of tired of seeing Devastator. I mean, it makes sense. Both games having 2 Devastators back-to-back turns is kind of annoying to deal with. And I don't think he's going to be able to deal with it. Looking at his hand, he has nothing to deal with this. And this is just going to be like an onslaught of damage from space. And the Salacious B. Crumb there is just there chilling. Even with the Luke flip, right? Like, it wouldn't have mattered. He can go ahead, deal 3, bring him to 9, heal 2 off his base. But then you're taking 9 from the Devastator. You're taking 4 from the Ruthless Raider. You're taking 2 from Piet, 1 from Salacious B. Crumb. So it's just like, boom, 9. Going to 13. And again, there's not much he can do. He can go ahead, put the Sentinel down, so he can do that planetary bombardment, and he just nukes the base. He deals the 12 to base. Unfortunate, right? That was a rough game again. But that's how it turns out, right? It just has the Devastator back-to-back turns again. It's how the game works sometimes. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed that type of format. Let me know what you guys think about it. Let me know if you guys want to hear more of our ideas of kind of our local scene here at Myrtle Beach Games. We have a ton of fun. We do a bunch of different types of game styles or game modes, I guess you can say. Like, I'll kind of make other videos a little bit further. I just want to kind of address the OP scene, right? We know how much we love Star Wars Unlimited. We all love the game, but it's no surprise or no shock that in certain locations the OP scene or the local scene isn't as strong as it is in other places. So we have to come up with ideas as a community to kind of get more interest from a more casual player, because yes, we all know how great the game is on a competitive scale, right? You have your PQs and your sectors, your regionals, those get a lot of attendance compared to local scenes, right? But in certain locations, people want to play in their local area, not high competitive, but also don't really have that opportunity sometimes because the competitive aspect of the game kind of deters people away from playing. Okay? I know that here in South Carolina, I believe that we held a big tournament, but some people didn't want to come because it was a little bit too competitive, right? This is a format that you can go ahead, again, ban leaders that you don't want to play. It gives people fun ideas to kind of come up with ideas to build unique decks, right? You're forced to stick with 2 colors with hero and villainy that don't match. So you have to come up with some unique ideas, right? We had Grand Admiral Thrawn, yellow, which again, maybe is pretty, like, it's used, right? I've seen it out there, but it is a fun thing to see in a local form, right? There are a few other decks that were a lot of fun. There was a Luke yellow deck, the new Luke from Jump to Lightspeed, so that was pretty cool. There's just a lot of fun decks and fun opportunities out there, and a format like this can go ahead and allow people to branch out and try those things, right? So again, let me know what you guys think of this format. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys are planning on trying out this format, and if you do, in a later video, maybe tell me how it went or anything like that, right? If you guys are new here and you haven't done so yet, check down the description below. Maclunky Gaming's YouTube is down there. Make sure you hit a sub button for them as well. Again, if you want to see live coverage of some high quality competitions like PQs, the commentary is bar none better than most out there. Definitely check it out. Make sure you subscribe to them, show the support there. And also, if you are new here and enjoying the content here, make sure you hit the sub button there. Support is always appreciated, as you guys know. And with that being said, we're going to go on and get out of here. We'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.